Hi, welcome. I'm Mary and I hook books. I crochet things inspired by books. This week I'm going to read and be inspired to crochet by some horror sci-fi, some fantasy humor, and even some fantasy romance. So let's hook some books. Pre-coffee workout update or review, so hopefully this makes some sense. I finished We Have Always Been Here, and this is sci-fi horror, space horror, which is a subgenre I really enjoy. We have a crew of, I think it's 13, who are sent to explore this ice world, and the world building is really cool, like the different basically class systems of who's conscripted and who's voluntarily there. And we have our main character who is a psychologist, but she's not the interacting with people therapist kind of psychologist. She is the look at the whole crew, make sure everything's running smoothly psychologist, and people start getting frozen, getting sick, and having to go into cryo sleep. So she ends up picking up some extra duties, and weird things start happening to the crew once they get to this planet, and weird things start happening to the androids. It's very good. Scary. I don't want to say too much more. It was a lot slower and more reflective than a lot of the books that I generally like, so it kind of surprised me that I did enjoy this and it kept my interest the whole time. It's very claustrophobic, and I love the setting of being snowed in somewhere. And of course, when you're on a spaceship in the middle of nowhere, where are you gonna go? So it reminded me a lot of The Thing, Frozen Wasteland, and who on the crew can you trust when you didn't know if you could trust them to begin with. So I really enjoyed this, and I made this star blanket since they are among the stars exploring outer space. I also made a little tutorial. So if you want to make a blanket just like mine, or you can pick your own colors, I will link that below. With my good microphone, you aren't going to hear the loud air conditioner in the background, but if you do, I'm sorry. It is the middle of October, and it was a high of 90 degrees and a low of 72. Why is Texas like this? Anyway, I just got home. I started a new class last week, and I am exhausted. I am managing to sleep and work out, but I'm also eating way too much takeout. So, balance, I guess. Anyway, I read another romance, 2 romance in 1 month. Who even am I? I listened to the Undercutting of Rosie and Adam, and this takes place in the same universe as The Undermining of Twyla and Frank and The Undertaking of Mercy and Hart, or Hart and Mercy. And this world is really fun. It's modern, like they have auto ducks, not automobiles, auto ducks, because they go on land and the lake and the ocean. They have like gaslight, so I don't know if this would be gaslight fantasy technically, but it is the pseudo-urban fantasy that I can actually get down with. The world is really fun, and I love the characters. Our main character, Rosie, she is a Tanrian marshal, so she protects the land, and there's portals, magic portals, fantasy land, that are on the fritz. And so the inventor of the portals has to come and figure out what's going wrong. And Rosie is a 6.5 foot tall, red-eyed demigod who doesn't die, so she accidentally dies again trying to poke around and figure it out. And the 5'5" little academic, completely repressed inventor of these portals named Adam comes to fix it. They get stuck when the portals stop working. They managed to get everybody else out, but they got stuck. I really enjoyed these characters. They were so much fun. The plot is good too. Part of it was a little bit predictable, but there were some twists in there that I didn't really see coming. And it's very heartwarming, not just the romance, but some other relationships. I love that the people from previous books are in this world, and like there's overlap, which is really fun. And it is a romance, so there is a smutty scene. And I think Megan Bannen writes really good spice. I often cringe or am utterly scandalized, but this had a very nice middle ground where it was sexy, but also kind of realistic with that, like, okay, this is our first time, we're like figuring each other out, as opposed to a lot of romance where they just get together the first time, it's amazing and hot, and like everybody has everything. So I love Megan Bannen's sex scenes. I still think the one from Twyla and Frank is the best. It possibly is the best smutty scene I have ever read. But this one was good too, just maybe a little too much talking. So, I don't know what's up with me. I've enjoyed 2 romances this month, and I am on a granny square kick. As you may be able to tell, I'll talk about this in a different video. So I made a granny square blanket, and it's inspired by Rosie's red eyes, and then the pink and purple of Tanria, and black and white for life and death or something like that. Anyway, amazing book, and I am really pleased with how this turned out. in the video. He's gonna sit like just off camera. I read The Twisted Ones by Kingfisher, and I love or hate Kingfisher's work. I either give it a very high rating or I DNF. This one I did really enjoy. Kingfisher does have a common trope of something happens to a grandmother and the granddaughter has to deal with the fallout. I like the trope. She ends up going and trying to deal with her grandma's hoarder house, but she didn't have cats and she wasn't like a food hoarder, so it's not that bad. But there's just so much stuff. And she finds her step-grandfather's journal talking about the Twisted Ones and being twisted up like the Twisted Ones. Okay, bye. And she ends up taking her dog Bongo out, and they go to the forest that breaks physics, and they're like, wait, this shouldn't be here. There's not a mountain in my neighborhood. What is going on? And things start coming to her window at night, and that was utterly terrifying. I almost had to put this book in the freezer. I was like genuinely chilled and creeped out. I don't want to say much more, but it was a little bit more of a straightforward mystery horror compared to some of her other books that are a little bit more twisty, but it was very creepy. It was very fast-paced. I love her ethereal voice. I just enjoy her humor, and I loved Bongo. Bongo, her dog, was amazing, and he reminded me so much of Munster and a little bit of Fry, so loved that. This isn't her best work, I don't think, but it's still, I think I gave it a 4.5, and I made a twisty infinity scarf in honor of the Twisted Ones. And I have not updated you nearly as often as I should have, because I also finished another book that was like 450 pages. Zeus is Dead. And I remember being kind of on the fence about this one because I saw some of the reviews, but I think if this humor works for you, it's really gonna work for you, and if it doesn't, it's really not. It worked for me. So Zeus is murdered, and how that happens is kind of propels the book forward, and they have to figure out how to counteract it, etc., etc. But because Zeus died, he no longer rules, and we don't have to follow his decrees and rules. So the Greek gods come back, and they're just part of everyday life now. And I love the comedy. I love the references, like the muses and the fates, and I love all the meta aspects. That is my kind of humor, but I definitely see how it doesn't work for a lot of people. We have to figure out who killed Zeus, and we maybe kind of sort of find some of his offspring, because, you know, Zeus was a little infamous for just getting around. Even though he decreed that the gods can no longer interact with humans, he still got around quite a bit. And I loved this world, like the idea that the Greek gods are going to come back and everything that goes along with that, because a lot of the old Greek stories, they fought monsters. So monsters also come back, but so do monster hunting reality shows. So I just love that concept. And one of the monsters that comes back is called Razor Wings, and they are deadly kittens. I love this humor. I love that concept. So, I made a razor wing deadly winged kitten in honor of the razor wings that are just so cute that they kill you without you even noticing.
Who's the prettiest? Is it you? Oh, I don't know.
If you found the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah.
Thank you for joining me this week. Let me know if you're going to pick up any of these books or if you're going to make any of the patterns. As always, the original patterns will be in the description box, along with my story graph, Ravelry, and if you would like to financially support the crochet cause, the Buy Me a Coffee link. I hope you have a really great fall. If you celebrate spooky season, I hope that you are getting all your horror reads and haunted house stuff in. And I hope you're taking care of yourself. Get some rest, drink your water, eat your veggies, say no, and do something good for yourself. As always, shoulders back, heads up, and breathe.
With the positivity, that's why I don't worry about the things that I don't see, yeah. These days I don't worry about